Okay, so I'm going to show you the various ways to measure your body or your buddy. Okay, so first we're going to measure Joe's chest. So this is how you do it. Just come around the back, measure at the widest part of the chest, which is roughly 1 to 2 inches below the armpit. He's at 39. And for this measurement, you don't want to pull too tight necessarily. You're just trying to get a rough circumference. And now I'm going to measure myself. I'm going to measure my chest. You're about 1 to 2 inches below your armpit and then across the widest part of your chest. And again, don't pull too tight. You're just trying to get a rough measurement for your chest circumference. The next measurement we're going to do is sleeve length. We're going to start at the center back of the neck. So you want to go right in the middle of your neck where your neck bone is here. Going to go over the shoulder and then down to the wrist bone. This is Joe's wrist bone right here. Kind of hard to see. So he's roughly at 33, and then you're going to add a ½ inch to that measurement. Okay, now I'm going to measure my own sleeve length. So I'm going to start right at the nape of my neck where my neck bone is. And I'm going to just kind of loosely drape the tape over my shoulder. Now it's tricky down at your wrist area, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the tape in my hand. I'm going to let go of the top, and then I'm going to measure back up towards my wrist. So there's my wrist bone. I'm at 30 and a half. I'm going to add a ½ inch, so my wrist measurement will be 31 inches. Okay, now we're going to get the bicep circumference, and we're going to go halfway from the shoulder to the elbow at the widest part of the bicep. So I'm getting 12.5 inches, and I'm not pulling too tight for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to measure my own bicep. It's a little tricky, but at the widest part of my arm, a little bit tricky. I'm at 12 inches, again, not pulling too tight. Okay, the next upper body measurement we're going to do is torso length, and torso length is actually really important if you're trying to outfit yourself in a coverall. If you're over 6 feet tall, you might need this measurement. So we're going to have Joe hold the end of the tape measure down at his crotch seam. And by the way, for anyone who's wondering, this is the crotch seam, and the intersection of the inseam and your rise is the center of your crotch point. So you want to measure from the actual center point of this seam and make sure you're actually at the center of your crotch seam. And then we're going to measure up to like the pit of his neck right here, and he's at 30 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to measure my own torso length. I'm going to start with the end of the tape measure, putting it right at the crotch seam. It's a little awkward. I have to like hold it there, and then I'm measuring up right above my collarbone. What's my measurement? 30 inches. Okay, next we're going to do a series of measurements on the lower part of your body, starting with the waist. So we're going to measure around Joe's waist where his pants naturally sit. So, we're not going to measure up high, not high-waisted, not in the belly area, but where pants actually sit on your hips. And even though he's wearing pants, I'm going to go a little bit above the waistband so it doesn't add extra bulk. And for this one, you do want to pull a little bit tight because we have a little padding around our waist. So right now I'm at 35 and a half. So now I'm going to measure my own waist, doing the same thing as before. I'm going to go above my waistband so I don't add any extra bulk when I'm taking the measurement. And I am pulling a little tight, and I'm at 35. Now we're going to measure your thigh circumference. So basically you want to go from halfway between the knee and your crotch area. And we're just getting the circumference, and we're not going to pull too tight. So he's at 20 inches. Okay, the next measurement we're going to do is inseam length. So we're going to have Joe hold the end of the tape measure at his crotch seam on his pants. And then we're going to go down the seam of the inseam of the pant, and we're going to make sure to smooth out the fabric because we don't want to exclude any fabric, and make sure you get the whole length. 30 and a half inches. Okay, so next I'm going to measure my own inseam length. So same thing, I'm going to take the end of the tape measure, I'm going to hold it right at the crotch point, and as I go down the inseam, I'm just making sure I'm smoothing out fabric, and I can let go of that point as long as I continue to smooth down the leg, and then the end of my pant is at 29 inches. Now I'm going to show you how to measure your inseam length on a pair of pants that you have. Make sure your pant is like smooth, not wrinkly or twisted or anything like that. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to measure along the inseam, and I'm going to follow any curvature that's on the seam. And then down at the end of your hem is your inseam length, and I have 32 inches. Okay, I'm going to show you examples of how not to measure your inseam. You don't want to kind of half step how you measure. So what you don't want to do is kind of do this, right? Because you're not following along the curvature of your inseam. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. That's not an accurate way to take your inseam length. So when you've been taking all these various body measurements, you should be writing them down and recording them. And then what you'll do is go onto the Fit Guide online, and we'll compare the body measurements on the charts, and that's how you find your size.